Hello, hello, man. This is a big day. Oh my gosh, Bobby Lee, how you doing today?
Good, good. Yeah, super excited to be here. Super excited for this launch. Long awaited time. I've been working on this for months. So, yeah, super excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So for everyone that's in the community, we are going to be introducing what you're on right now, Arc House, and an incredible program that I can't wait for Bobby Lee to dive into the Architects program. We're really excited about this, and it's going to be a brief discussion, but hoping to cover a couple highlights for you. So number one, we want to go over what Arc House actually is, right? So we do a brief overview of that, and I'll guide you through the platform and some of the things that you can look out for. We'll spotlight what's coming soon, some of the things that are on the horizon. I'll then switch it over to Bobby Lee, where we'll dive into the Architects program and how to get started with that. And then finally, we got Mike and Tim out there that are going to be collecting some of your questions, and we'll share those and we'll try to get to those live today before it's all over. So, before we jump in, I want to reintroduce myself. I am Sam Seeley, and I am Director of Community here. And wanted to start off by saying how incredibly excited and proud I am of this moment. Bobby Lee, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Bobby Lee Hartman. I started at Circle in November. Have been in DevRel for over a decade now and working on different things related to events and a community organizer myself. So that's why I'm super passionate about this program and really excited. Yeah, I'm a TPM here working on mainly the developer programs for the community team.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so let's try just dive into this, right? So, um, Arc House, as you can see right now, is the official home of the art community and ecosystem. This really started off as a concept maybe a little bit over a year ago, kind of close to when Bobby Lee we first had our very first conversation as well. In the past we've had Discord, and that was like really the only hub that we had for our ecosystem. One of the things and challenges that we realize is that the needs for this sort of ecosystem to really grow is more diverse than we could ever imagine. Right? We love the communication and activity that takes place on Discord, and we're going to keep that. Um, but then we also love the awareness that LinkedIn has, making it real easy to meet and connect with other folks, check out people's profiles, and learn more about who you're talking to, right? And so we love that about LinkedIn. And then with X, right? We love the ability of the constant ability of exposure, discoverability that X and some of those other platforms provide. Finally, there were things like Reddit, discourse, and other platforms that really provide forums and an easy way for people to get questions answered, and connect with one another. And so, kind of taking all that into consideration, we really wanted to bring those things together. So as you can see here, events, conversation, resources, recognition, and groups all in one place, and really wanted to give builders, founders, and partners, and many of you contributors out there, one shared hub to learn, connect, and honestly have fun together. And so that's what Arc House ended up becoming. Right. So here are the three topics of why it exists. So number one, as I said, we wanted to make it real easy for new and existing members to navigate Arc ecosystem and community. Secondly, we wanted to make sure that there was really a shared home for conversations, learnings, events, and regional activity. Regional activity, we'll get more on that soon. And then finally, turn meaningful and technical participation into visible reputation and recognition. And next. All right, so let's go ahead and get inside. Let me move around my screen and camera here. So let's go ahead and get inside to this. All right. So if many of you all are looking at Arc, you've seen kind of how everything is laid out. We have events. So we got meetups, live streams, and key moments. And then we have groups. And so our groups, right? We're going to have special spaces for roles, interests, and regions. And then we're going to have the ability in our forums to have conversations. And if many of you all have been leveraging the platform already, one of the great things is that these conversations really allow you to a post videos. You can input videos, images, links, and more. And then it allows for people to have comments and interact way after the conversation started. And so, a lot of times I find this happening on many other platforms. It's hard for me to keep track of conversations. They get buried into either Telegram chats or to X feeds. With Arc House, it really allows us to be able to keep track of all these things. One of the cool things that I love about it is that when someone replies to a post that I make or they send me a message, I'm able to get signaled on it and I get a notification, and it makes it super easy for me to continue and to follow up. So yeah, super super excited about that as well. One of the exciting things that are coming soon. This is going to be great, and this is where one of the reasons why honestly I love the platform so much is regional chapters and more ways to connect locally. Bobby Lee is going to talk a little bit more about some of these opportunities soon, but this is where it gets really excited. One of the goals and dreams of this is that we wanted to really empower and mobilize everybody in the community to spread ARC and help to educate developers and founders all over the world. And so we're going to be launching regional chapters and more ways to connect locally. Additionally, we're going to have more role specific groups, guides, and support for contributors, and also a growing mix of content of events and recognition is going to be coming up worldwide. So we're really excited about that. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into the Architects program.
Hi, everybody. I cannot wait to tell you a bit more about the newly launched Architect program, aka our long-awaited Ambassador program. This was, as you know, as you can imagine, a massive endeavor with several different teams, so we're super excited to kick this off. And then hello to everyone on the call who already is an architect, because I know a lot of you are probably here and super excited to learn more. But if you haven't already read the blog post announcement about it and you don't know much about it, the Ambassador program is a little bit different than other programs that you may have seen or be a part of. It's not application-based. It's earned through consistent community contribution, and it recognizes meaningful participation across events, content, and community support in forums, and just being really active on ArcHouse, like we've already mentioned. And it recognizes the fact that as you level up and you build your reputation, as Sam was mentioning, and you gain visibility, of course, by doing that, but you also have the ability then to apply for the leadership roles that we'll go over. And overall, I also wanted to mention, why are we doing Ambassador program? Why do we want ambassadors? And overall, the Architects program is not about just promotion for promotion's sake. It's about finding people who can help translate the mission that we have at ARC and at Circle into local reality. So like the Meetup program tied a bit to that. So people who can educate developers and founders and surface real business needs and help more communities understand what better financial infrastructure can unlock. So I just wanted to mention a bit more about kind of the background behind this program as well. You can go to the next slide, Sam. The tiers, at a glance. So when you first get into ArcHouse, you're technically tier 0. And once you gain a bit of momentum and through contributions, such as I mentioned, attending events, reading content, writing forum posts, you move up in tiers. By tier 2, it's a super important milestone because that's when you can apply for the roles. So that would be a community moderator, meetup organizer, and technical speaker. And then tiers 4 through 5, you'll be able to start applying for regional lead roles. And we have those explained, and all of these roles actually have explained their duties and what they entail inside the roles doc when you go to the homepage on ArcHouse, and the whole program has a bunch of details in a collection called Architects Program. If you click that, you'll see all the tiers explained, benefits, and the roles explained in that as well, and the terms and everything. So next slide. So as you build your reputation in the program, You will unlock increasingly valuable perks and roles and recognition as you move up in tiers. You get invited to private events and featured in community spotlights and really showcasing everything you're building and what you're up to across ARC platforms. You'll unlock the ability to apply for those roles I've been mentioning. And then you'll also have direct access a bit more to the ARC team, being more involved, will be in more communication with you, providing you more opportunities and attending different hackathons. And yeah, there's just so much more that's coming soon once you learn about the roles and apply for a role and get accepted. So lastly, the high impact networking and exposure. That's like a super exciting thing about once you're in the architect group, there's a topic group you get access to, and you can start talking to members in there. And then, of course, at some of these private events and stuff, you'll have a bit more networking exposure. So yeah, overview of ways to participate. And you'll see that on the opportunities doc once you get into ArcHouse, like I mentioned. You can join hackathons and challenges to earn points through participation and winning hackathons. Staying active in the community by posting in ArcHouse, commenting, answering questions, creating content, sharing your knowledge and building visibility there. And then attending and growing. Once you become an organizer, you can host events and eligibility for speaker opportunities and meetup organizer opportunities as well, and more. Next slide. Cool. So, how to get started. So stay in ArcHouse if you're already in there, or if you haven't already join now. It's a super important step. When you sign up, please remember to use an email that you'll be monitoring, because all of the ARC invites and the tier changes and the access to certain roles, all of that information will go to emails. I'll go to that email specifically. And so it will not natively pop up as a notification in ArcHouse at this time, because a lot of this we have customized into this platform that we're using. So yeah, after you've done all of that and you find that content collection I've been talking about, explaining the Architects program on the homepage, you can read more about the program there and all the details and where to get started. And then once you start contributing and through all the ways I mentioned earlier, you can watch for those emails about your tiers being unlocked and your applications and everything like that. So it's all tied into email, and it's all tied into what you've been doing, and we'll be tracking all of that on the back end. Next slide. So yeah, so what's next? So yeah, watch, as Sam said, watch for more program updates, and the regional chapters will be starting to open. The reason those aren't open now is because we have meetup organizer applications that are trickling in. And once we have some meetups, then we can review those applications and approve their request to run an event. You'll start seeing us open up regional chapters with meetups, popping up in cities near you. And I'm also working with DevRel on office hours and ways we can run courses specifically for architects. And then in the architect forum inside that topic group, I'm going to start running surveys to just learn a little bit more about what you guys want from our ARC team, and things maybe we're not even thinking about that you would like to learn about or more access to and learn from DevRel. So yeah, that's kind of what's coming soon, overarching on my end. And next slide, we'll pretty much just open now for Q&A. And please have all your questions be relevant to the program ArcHouse or the architect program. We'll only be kind of taking questions, not on camera, we'll just taking them through the chat. So drop your questions now.
All right, so I see that there's a couple of questions that have come through. All right, so Anastasia Colbert, the scientist, Anastasia Colbert, scientist at Label Blue. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. How can I present my developments on the ARC blockchain to the community? So I've got some thoughts, but Bobby Lee, if you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, mainly in the forums. I think it depends if you're an architect or not. But right now I'm keeping the architect forum really simple and just kind of using it for announcements. So you wouldn't be able to post some of that there. So mostly I would say in the member lounge, we have a member lounge. I think that'd be the best for some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. One of the great things that I would add is that there are a lot of people that are really inside of our ARC house right now. And so some circulars, and I say circulars, we're talking all the way from Jeremy Allaire, our product leadership, people on our engineering team, people on our BD team, people on our Circle Ventures team. So there's a lot of folks, and that's just on Circle side. There's also other organizations, other VCs that are all a part of ArcHouse right now. And so I encourage you to share, share like your forum post, make them as detailed and as professional as possible, um, and also your interactions, as clear and as professional as possible. Because every time you communicate, you're basically advertising yourself, to the rest of the world. So take advantage of these forums,
Yeah,
and then share them too. You can always share these on X. We have different communities in different areas. You can share your posts out, and it's just a really strong way to keep track of all your activities in the Arc ecosystem, and on Arc, testnet, and eventually on mainnet. You can keep track of all that there,
yeah,
and then get more feedback. So I
yeah.
think that's great.
One more thing I was going to mention too, because this goes along with the next question, is once we open up the regional chapters, I'm going to have topics, and those will be able to be chat. You can chat in those. I won't have it locked to just us talking in those forums and the regional chapters. And I'll have like a spotlights topic, so you can share your projects there with people near you, and you guys can meet up in person and chat at builder sessions or at meetups. And so that'll be a really good place as well for I think a lot of people to be talking and testing things with one another. A little bit more of a close niche, group for that activity as well. So
Oh, so there's two questions that I see here, that they kind of are, similar. So I know, Bob Lee, you're gonna have some great thoughts on this. All right, so we have Justin T. Roy and we have Roman, who both have questions around basically opportunities for developers, right? So one question is, does the builders or their apps, will they have some relevance to gaining points in the future, like we see in contribution rules? Well, architects have different reward tracks for developers versus non-technical contributors, or is it all unified in the same point system? So yeah, I think both of those, Bobby Lee, I'm sure you'd be able to answer those.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, of course. Originally, when we were building this out, we had, like, I don't even know, Sam, maybe like 50 different things we were trying to track and give contributions for, and we got a
Yeah.
little ahead of ourselves. And so to get the program out, we had to stick with things were a little more tied to automated inside of Gradual. And of course, once they started doing meetups, that's more of a manual thing we'll be tracking. But that kind of, just to get the program going, we needed to stick to some smaller set of contributions that we can track, and track perfectly, and not have like, issues with that we weren't perfectly tracking, and all of the on-chain activity, for example. So yes, that is coming soon. We're working on that in the back end. It's not forgotten, of course, as we know that's a huge portion of these types of programs, and the point of why we want people building and more things. Bringing it back to business needs and everything. So that's a huge thing that's on the back end right now that we're going to be continue working on. And it may come out in small portions. It may not be next launch, might not be like 50 things we're tracking that developers are building. But in the meantime, the ways we can track on-chain activity be more through the hackathons approach right now and our builder bounties. So we'll have a bit more of those coming out, and continuing to, we're having hackathons around the world, consistently doing that with our DevRel team. So we're tying all of that together in the meantime. So that would be the way to make sure your projects are seen, is signing up for stuff like that.
Yeah, great. Nothing else to add there. So let me go back. I see there's a lot of great questions. So we talked about that one. See, where do I share what I built? So we answered that. So forums is definitely the best. Go through the forums. Um, let's see. Okay, why did we choose the point system and tiers for contributors? Just want to know the reason behind it. So yeah, tiers, we have tiers and we have points. So I know that's something that we talked about a lot as well.
Yeah, I can share a bit more about that. Yeah, when I originally came to the team to build this out, I was thinking, classic how I've done ambassador programs before, application based, a small select crew doing a cohort or a 6-month season. But honestly, the activity has been, there's so many people who want to be involved, and there's so many different levels of involvement and ways you contribute. So I started thinking, okay, then I'm going to put personas on all of this and have different points for collecting different personas. And then, so, it was all of that was a part of our discussion early days. And after working with TQ, our senior VP of marketing, and with Sam a bit more, we thought of it more in terms of like a loyalty program, people getting involved and being excited just from doing little things here and there and contributing and making sure that we wanted to reach way more people, versus having a small subset of like 50 people. And so yeah, that's kind of how it kind of came about, as that as being a bit more of a welcoming environment for everyone. And then of course gating things at roles, gating things at certain tiers, and really just making sure that we're not just, yeah, giving things for we're not just giving points for reasons that aren't related to things that we want and that we think will be make a massive impact on ARC and on the world in general, related to all of our, related to our mission. And so we're trying to be really careful with that. But yeah, that's kind of how it all came about. I don't know if Sam has anything more to mention
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, I think that there's one thing to point out, I guess, is the elephant in the room. And we do see, thankfully it's not a huge major thing, but we do see the obsession on the point side. And I think that another reason for having points and then like these tiers and these roles where there's still like an application layer to it is because, quite frankly, we understand that there will be some actors that are going to try to just gamify the system, right? We see, trust me, we see these posts, right? They're just like, okay, I'm gonna try to say a post, and it's not really contributing to the conversation or contributing or really helping anyone to learn. um and so it's like we don't want to overemphasize too much just on the points, but the points in general are they're a great way for you to build up your reputation over time, right? Eventually, as this grows and grows, there are going to be people that have put in the work, that have been answering questions, that have been helping people at events, that have been attending events, that have been building projects, that have been contributing to feedback. Like, there's going to be a lot of different opportunities where there's feedback opportunities with our team. And we want to make sure that that history is reflected and maintained. And we thought that that was really, really important. But we also wanted the ability to be able to really evaluate, right? And understand that not all contributions are equal. And so I think, Bobby Lee did a really great job of kind of blending the two worlds together into this unique program. So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. Along that, there's a question here if there's non-builder ways to be involved, and yeah, if you look at the opportunities list, um, content doesn't always need to be a technical piece, a technical expert piece in forums. It can be what was conversation starters. It can be if you can post about what all the activities that happened at ARC this week and what you learned and what you have questions about that you might be new to. It doesn't have to be, yeah, just keeping that aware that you don't have to be an advanced software engineer, for example, to be contributing to watching these events, coming to these. You're getting points by being active in that alone. Reading content, all of that's being tracked. And so the more you learn and put yourself in, answer questions that you think you know the answer, like all of that stuff too. But yeah, there's ways to be involved, and bringing things into ARC that, some things unrelated to ARC specifically, but it relates to your local region, and it's about like a fintech topic, for example,
That's
or
a big
another
one. Yeah, that's a big one.
local, to things that would, yeah, people would learn from and stuff. So that can be more of a founder mindset, like a business that just came out or just launched that's similar to what might be building and how we can combine those things or whatever. All of that is open to the discussions that are being involved here. Um, so yeah, we love diverse mindsets, and we want everybody here that can contribute, and they're excited to build things. Also, if you have ideas and there's an engineer that's in that regional chapter, for example, and you're a product person or you're a designer and you want to pair up at a hackathon, you want to pair up on building something at the next meetup or at a builder session meetup, all of that, like, super, super cool and exciting. And that's what we really want to see here, is people working together, building things, talking to one another, meeting each other in person. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of the main things there. And that's why we have in these regional chapters and in some of the topic groups, we have the member list is public. So you can always talk with one another on ArcHouse, to collaborate in those ways.
Yeah, yeah. There's a good question that's popped up. How do we measure meaningful participation versus just activity? Yeah, I guess I mentioned that, so I can start there, Bobby Lee, and you could jump in as well. Um, to be honest with you, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. I think at the end of the day, this is the purpose of this is a community, right? Um, you know, eh, I feel as if ARC is really just this incredible opportunity. You hear us talk about the economic OS. You see the time that we're in, folks. I mean, we're in a time where the gap from idea to product launch is almost like this now. It really, it's like, before it was like this, I saw off the screen. So like it's literally like, I'm talking to builders that are creating cash flow on day one and with one staff. And so that's what we're excited about. That's honestly what got me into community work. Is I really enjoy, meeting with folks, listening to conversation, being challenged on ideas, giving feedback, seeing the feedback that's given. That's what we're really here for. And so, it's pretty easy right now when we see like meaningful activity. If there's a post, did you really like think about it? And have some good questions or feedback, or are you simply just like, replying to reply? Like it's things like that really show meaningful activity. When people have questions, are you really jumping in and helping them in a meaningful way and answering the right question? In the early days when we were going through the beta and we kind of had this out there silently, it was a great opportunity for us to kind of look and see how people would use it. And thankfully, we saw a lot of people that were posting their projects, that were asking deep questions, that were engaging in conversations. But then we also saw folks that, were, kind of like gamifying each other and just kind of answer questions. And so, um, just GM or something like that. And so it's pretty easy for us to look at it. And I think there's a lot of members that are here in our ecosystem that have been involved from our Discord days till now, that can attest that we pay very, very close attention to the conversations, and we reach out to folks when we see that sort of activity. So um I'm gonna go back to find some more questions. Bobby, I'm not sure if you have anything to add there.
Anything to add would be, yeah, like Sam said, we're heavily watching this activity, and we can of course, like any other platform, if their points are not making sense, or if there's anything there that's just obviously spamming and spamming and spamming, we can reduce that person's points. And we have the ability to be tracking all of this, and we have the ability to control what we see as not as spam or as gaming it. And I mean, the system trying
Yeah.
to do certain things, and we've gated certain things in the program as well for roles based. The main perks coming in for some of that stuff would be, yeah, if there's any financial support or anything like that, that's in a roles based. I mean, that's backed by, you have to apply for the role and be accepted. And that's not automated. We're manually approving these people right now and being very careful about who we're selecting to be representing us. And I mean, not representing us, but being more, yeah, an ambassador in a way. So
Yeah, yeah. And I think it adds, someone asked another question here. Azul Crypto, do comments and helpful answers automatically count towards points? And so yes and no. And so yeah, once again, like what Bobby Lee just said, is that look, we want us to be fair, right? And the goal is that when somebody, and I want all you all to think this, right? If you truly are part of this community, what's the first impression that you want a new person to come in, right? Like we want this to be something where you're going to tell your friends, you're going to say your skeptics, your blockchain skeptics. You know what? Come to Arc House, learn. There's tons of content. There's great conversations. You can get so much help here. What's that impression that you want? And so so like, yeah, as we go through and we see comments, if we see things that really, okay, this doesn't make any sense, this is, this was a gimme question and somebody's just answering it, we can kind of see that activity. And so if we need to track or we need to tweak anything on the back end, we will. But the system is designed that, like, as we start to build up, and that's where your reputation really is going to come in handy. As you start to reputation and we start to have mods that become part of our team, we'll start to be able to make sure that those points get answered quickly. Let's see. My question: does builders have their apps? We answered that one. Let's see. Let's see. Go down. How often will points and tier updates be calculated? Um, and so right now, right now it's I want to say it's weekly. Tim B can keep me honest on that though. Um, yeah.
Points.
So look, there we go. Tim B did. Tim had a comment here. Yeah, most things are going to be tracked live, but for now, I'll say it's weekly. That's fair.
Yeah, tiers are being reviewed, not instantaneously because of terms and conditions. They're checking, and that's all being as automated as we can with checking, make sure that they were invited to the tier. They didn't just get into the ARC topic group by, by gaming, finding the link to that. That isn't possible in the way that we've created the spaces and gated things in the platform. So yeah.
This is a good question, right? This is a good question. How do you intend to combat malicious players, folks that might send links to cold DMs and links to people? Yeah, that's a good question. And so right now our DMs are open. But the way that they're designed is that if you already don't communicate with that person, that DM they can only send one message, and that DM they don't even know if you've seen it or not. And so our advice would be if you do get a DM from someone that you haven't spoken to, like it's just someone trying to like send out messages, feel free to double check the sender. Always feel free to also reach out to us. Myself, Bobby Lee, Tim, Mike, we're all available on the platform. So if you do see something suspicious, let us know, um, and we can follow up on that. And I know also too that we have a great team that's working on automation tools, using things like AI to help us to moderate and to keep an eye on bad actors and bad accounts that try to come in. And so, really excited about that as well. Hey, it's Ezgi. Ezgi, hey Ezgi, how you doing? Glad that you can make it. Everyone in Turkey. If there's anybody else from Turkey, please let me know. What does the process look like for those who want to organize their own ARC meetups? Yeah, Bobby Lee, I think you may have an answer to that.
Yeah, so as I said before, tier two is when that unlocks for you to apply for a meetup organizer role, if that's what you're talking about. That's an official role that we are approving people to do. And it comes with, there's like a whole guide that'll explain that. Once you get accepted into that role, there's a guide that explains all of that. And yeah, the next steps and what you do and what that entails and what that includes. So really just apply for that role, and then you'll learn a bit more about that. So that's kind of the process, really. And once you're accepted, then you would submit an event request. We would review that event request within a week. That's kind of what I'm promising we can do. So let's hope we can keep that up and reviewing events as fast as we can. And we're going to obviously automate some of that process as well to give us to speed up that process of reviews, all the events. And then we will post it in ARC House. All events for meetups or all community meetups will be hosted in ARC House in the regional chapters of the cities that they're in. And we're going to try to make sure that they're also posted on kind of the main page. We need to make sure that's working as well. But yeah, that's kind of the process basically, is that we want all official meetups to be hosted there. There may be some time where there's like a side event at a conference that Luma may be involved, because I understand Luma directories and getting, your offsite or your side event to be tied to a conference. You want some things like that in Luma. And there's ways for us to have like on the ARC House event, you can click register and it'll go into Luma. So we have figured that out. Yeah, I mean, we've got that plan in place as well for those types of meetups. But yeah, that's kind of the plan as of right now.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Someone had a question about, I guess I'm not sure if we reviewed this yet, but what are some of the content that for content creators? What are some of the content creations that would excite you, Bobby Lee?
Yeah, I think for me, like what I was mentioning before is, yeah, business ideas. People excited about building things, and you don't have to be an engineer, like we were mentioning,
I agree.
with ideas, people with real issues in their, real use cases that yeah, either in your region or globally that you're noticing, and you want people, and you think, you want people to work on it with, or you want to use ARC for that, and you just have some ideas going. And we're huge fans of entrepreneurial activity and both being entrepreneurs outside of work ourselves in ways. Sam and I mean, and a lot of us on the team. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm personally excited about. And of course, sharing things that you're building. You don't have to have a super polished project. I want to also mention that if you have something you're excited about and you're just getting started and you have questions, we're super open to having those types of discussions, showing us, your progress as you're building things, getting feedback. That's definitely what this is for, and keeping the energy alive for us. And we're excited to see ways that you're pushing our product, pushing ideas and places and that we haven't thought of how to use ARC. For example, all of that we're really excited about.
Yeah. One of the things that going back to the non-technical folks that I could share is kind of my own story. And so with my story, I didn't come into crypto originally as a developer, right? I didn't come in as a developer. I had an entrepreneur background, and I've done that many years, but I was really fascinated. I really understood the potential that this industry could bring. And in the early days, what I started to do was started to get engaged with projects, and understanding, what their pain points were and how they're using it. I started to spotlight different projects that I saw. And so as you're interacting with these different developers that are posting their ideas, share that feedback and share what you've learned. Um, and then I became like a vessel, and a connector for folks. And so I was able to, learn all the developers and create a network of developers that I worked with, and connect them um, with other users. And then also I became a vessel for the foundations that I ended up getting involved with to take a look. And so there might be projects that you're using that are building on Arc that we haven't seen, or maybe we hadn't taken a close enough look to. But you may have had that opportunity. You may have had the chance to have a conversation with this particular person and learn some more about that project that maybe they didn't adequately express in their forum post. And so there's a lot of different ways I feel that you can contribute meaningfully to our ecosystem. And then going back to the entrepreneurs that Bobby Lee mentioned. At the end of the day, we really want to help you all become successful. And we want to make sure that you have the right resources. Even with events, like there might be a wider range of events that we can do. A lot of the things we're doing now are technical or showcases, but hey, let us know. Maybe there's some other issues that you're dealing with, how to get insurance or how to get audits, or name your pick, how to break into a particular market. We have access within the community and beyond of folks that have done this, that have already accomplished what you've done, what you're trying to do. And we could definitely create different events there to make you successful. At the end of the day, we want everybody to choose this community because they feel like this is the place that they can win.
Yeah, I love that. Mentioning classes that we want to have for business questions and not just something that's super related to a new ARC endpoint or, new feature. So yeah, that's definitely something that I'm passionate about too. One more thing I wanted to mention with meetups, it takes a village to put on events. And as I know, I'm an event producer outside of work. I've been running an event for engineers for over, I don't know, 12 years now or something. Yeah, what I want to say with that is that work together, find other people that might be interested in that in your region, or just in different forums, that you're talking with folks. If you live in the same area and you want to do stuff, I just wanted to mention that you can work together, just because we know it takes a lot of time to run consistent things and to build community in areas. And so I just wanted to mention that last thing. I don't know if we have any more.
Yeah, I think that's all the
Yeah,
questions. So
yeah,
yeah, well, hopefully this was helpful to everybody.
yeah.
More to come. We'll be in Arc House now, as you all know. So if you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, please share and let us know. This would be a growing program, and so there'll be things that we add on, we change,
Mhm.
and we want to make sure that we keep it exciting and rewarding for everybody that's involved. So,
Yep.
um, happy building. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for tuning
Um, yeah. Thanks to Bobby Lee for everything. It's been great.
Yeah, great to, yeah, been awesome working on this with you, and I'm super excited to continue meeting everybody. And yep.